Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel, and I got a pretty good review for you today. So, the other day, I saw Spider-Man No Way Home. Now, I'm going to try not to get too much into spoilers, so there's probably going to be some spoilers in here, so if you don't wish to be spoiled right now, now is your time to stop watching this, go watch the video, watch the movie, and then you can come back here. Okay. So, it was truly something. It was a true nostalgia trip, a nostalgia fest where I felt like I was back in the 2000s and the 2010s. I felt like I was a kid again. I felt like I was in elementary school and middle school. It was just a nice feeling overall. Now, this movie did have all the Spider-Man, and this really shouldn't come as a surprise. It's, I'm sure everyone saw it miles away that Toby and Andrew were going to be in this movie. And I think it was a bright idea that, the marketing didn't show the both Spider-Man into the trailers because, it just would have been a dead giveaway. And, it just would have ruined the climax. It would have been like how a couple years ago when the Batman vs. Superman final trailer showed a Doomsday within the final seconds, and that just kind of ruins the plot and the climax and, all the hype to see the movie. It just would have ruined that kind of hype and the climax. Except when, a lot of people knew that Toby and Andrew were coming back, it's the feeling of when they're going to come, and, it was unexpected when they would arrive. But, it was just a lovely movie, and, it was so great to see 3 generations of Spider-Man come together, and, different generations of supervillains coming together. It was great to see Doc Ock and the Green Goblin, all those villains come together again. I was a little surprised that they didn't go the Sinister Six route. I was kind of hoping they would bring back the Rhino, but whatever. Can't have everything, I guess. So, let's try to go into it plot-wise. So, Peter's identity is revealed to the world. So, he goes to Strange to ask for help to help make the world forget he's Spider-Man, except he wants his close ones, his allies and family to not forget who he is. So, he tampers with the spell, which causes Strange to accidentally, open up a multiverse of different characters coming into the MCU universe. Now Peter has to stop these villains, has to get these villains contained, drain their abilities, and make sure they go back to their universe where they came from. Now, overall, a lot of the villains were pretty done well. Seeing Alfred Molina again as Doc Ock was pretty good, It was great to see him again, although it felt weird, with him at the end of Spider-Man 2, him pretty much redeeming himself and sacrificing himself and coming back as a villain. It just felt kind of weird. It just felt like his redemption and sacrifice was nothing at first, but he does kind of redeem himself at the end, so it just kind of went full circle and cycle. Willem Dafoe killed it as the Green Goblin, as always. He does that multi-personality, kind of bipolar, there's a monster living inside his head, and he doesn't know how to, stop it, so the Goblin takes control of his mind, and Willem Dafoe's it kills it, especially with the action scenes. He's just putting Tom Holland's Spider-Man just through walls and breaking grounds all over the condominium. Willem Dafoe kind of got like a new little suit. Willem Dafoe was definitely great in the movie. Thomas Hayden Church was also comes back. There were definitely times where I felt like his delivery and his acting was flat, but he did fine overall as the Sandman. Seeing Jamie Foxx as Electro was definitely, in this movie, was definitely a big improvement compared to Amazing Spider-Man 2. Seeing Jamie in like in a more comic book accurate suit and the yellow lightning accuracy, and he kind of like sort of got like kind of sort of a redemption at the end. He kind of like he just wanted to be noticed by society. He felt like he's always being pushed down and kicked down on society, and he just felt like Spidey was the only one who cared about him. And then when Spider-Man didn't even recognize him back in Amazing Spider-Man 2, he just felt like he was just a joke to people, and he just kind of like took it out on New York. The Lizard comes back. He's, for the most part, he's just mostly in it. He's mostly just kind of like a punching bag for the Spider-Man to be there, but he's fine overall. Aunt May doesn't make it through the whole movie, which I was kind of surprised, to be honest. And the fact that she delivered that iconic line, "The great power comes great responsibility." In a way, I'm still kind of upset that the MCU doesn't really have, or there hasn't really been a confirmed Uncle Ben, unless you count the What If episode of the zombies. But that's a What If episode. It's not really canon-wise, but it would have been nice to have some sort of Uncle Ben reference in the MCU universe, because the other Spider-Man talk about their Uncle Ben and their experience, and how Uncle Ben helped get them, taught them the responsibility and such. I think one of my favorite moments in this movie was how just before the final fight was how all three Spider-Men came together, and they're just talking about Spider-Man stuff. They're talking about their own experiences of what they done as Spider-Man. Their web fluid, the types of people they had to face, Tom's Holland's experience with the Avengers. It was just such a good feel moment for me, because as I mentioned, this is all three generations of Spider-Man, and a lot of kids growing up, including myself, this is where reality became, this is when a dream became reality. That's what this whole movie is, but that moment in particular became that statement where seeing all three Spider-Men come together, just talking about their experience of what their life is like being Spider-Man, and how they try to manage their lives. It's just such a feel-good feeling, and it's amazing, to see other Spider-Men lifting each other up, and encourage one another that every Spider-Man in their own way is unique and important as a superhero, because of the impact they make, not just to their allies, but to pretty much their whole community. But it's definitely a heck of an experience, especially, for the people who saw the first trilogy in the 2000s and then the other trilogy a decade ago. To see all that come back and you just get to see the worlds collide. It's just truly amazing. And the fact that Sony and Marvel are like, they came together and, they're able to bring different worlds together and make this epic blockbuster of a movie, which has already, done amazing at the box office. And now knowing that we're going to see Tom Hardy's Venom at some point in the future in the MCU, Sony collage universe is just going to be truly something, and I'm truly looking forward to it. But overall, it is definitely a movie worth watching. I do recommend watching the other two Spider-Man trilogies first to help you keep up with the stuff, but yeah, it was just a great movie overall. The fighting, the risk and the sacrifices Peter was putting himself into, the fact that he had to give up the thing he cared about, the people he cared about the most, in order to protect them and to protect his identity, so that his loved ones won't be hurt, and so that his friends can go to college and not have to, worry about controversy or being in danger and supervillains. It's just, it's a Spider-Man thing to do. It's when the cards are down and when Peter is in that kind of tough situation, Peter always has to do the right thing. And, it's just truly, definitely a one-of-a-kind experience. And, to see all three Spider-Man coming together, facing their old villains, interacting with their old villains, and a lot of callback lines and references from the characters. It's just, it really did make me feel like a kid again. And, I give Marvel and Sony credit to that. Because when worlds collide, it's a big thing, especially when it comes from different studios, and they have to come up with some sort of compromise or whatever. And this was practically the most perfect Spider-Man multiverse movie I've ever seen. This is pretty much just amazing. Seeing Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock for a cameo was definitely cool. Zendaya was fine in the movie. Overall, it was just a really nice experience to see three different actors come together and, face their old villains, and, it was just amazing. It's definitely a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and, it's definitely worth it to see it in theaters, because, you're going to get a lot of, happy fans and who are applauding and cheering in the film, seeing a lot of old faces and, seeing a lot of cool moments. It's just a remarkable movie, and definitely one you gotta see in theaters. So I definitely recommend seeing it while you still can in theaters. But yeah, like I said, overall, this movie was pretty much amazing, especially, like for the Phase 4 of the MCU, which before this movie came out, some films and shows have just been meh for me for the Phase 4, but after seeing this movie, I definitely have some hope again that Phase 4 will come back and, will not disappoint. So, yeah. Definitely check out the movie at some point. Check out the other trilogies. And, let me know how you felt about the movie, and I will see you next time.